Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Sanchez. I am the 2021 president of the Hispanic Bar Association of Central Florida. And today I have the honor of being here with the Honorable Gisela Laurent. Thank you for being here today. I know you're being honored as one of the Florida jurists. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you so much, Laura, for having me today. It's such an honor to be here and to share this time with my friends across the state.
Of course. And I don't know if you know this, but you were actually the first judge I met through the Hispanic Bar. Yes, and I remember meeting you at one of the events that we had back in 2019, and you were always so relatable. You were always an approachable person, just full of life and light and just laughing and smiling. So thank you for being that. I know sometimes it's hard for attorneys to go up to judges, right, and say hi and have a conversation. So thank you for being so approachable and such a kind soul. I really appreciate that. I know I've known you for about a couple of years now through the Hispanic Bar, but there's a lot of people watching this that don't know anything about you, right? And who you are. So I wanted to start by kind of talking a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Where is your family from? And what is your nationality?
Okay. Well, first I want to step back and say thank you so much. I love the Hispanic Bar Association so much. When I first became a young lawyer, maybe where you were at when you met me, the Hispanic Bar Association of Central Florida was truly a welcoming place for me. So, I love being with my HBACF family and paying forward all of the love and embracing and guidance that everyone gave to me. So I'm glad that I was there for you and that you felt that I was relatable, because I really truly feel that we're all one family. So about my family, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio, which I don't know anything about Cleveland. My dad, businessman at heart, and he had a business opportunity, and my mom loved him so much that she would follow him anywhere. So they went to Cleveland and I was born there, and they quickly realized that Cleveland was not the place to be. So I moved to Florida when I was 3 years old, and Florida's my home state, and that's all I know. But my parents are from Dominican origin. They were born in Dominican Republic, and they both came here separately to the United States, to New York City, when they were about 14, 15 years old, with their families, trying to find a better life for everyone.
Oh, wow. And do you believe, I guess, knowing your family, right, coming so young at 14 or 15 to the United States, do you think they faced a lot of challenges as being from Hispanic origin at that time?
Well, yes, and I always say, like, all the challenges that I have don't equate to the challenges that my parents face, because you imagine you coming to a country where you don't speak the language, and ultimately, luckily, they landed in New York City, where I think half of New York speaks Spanish, but and many other different languages. So it's truly the melting pot. But they quickly migrated to Cleveland, and there maybe wasn't as much Hispanic at the time. And so definitely when we came to Florida, I remember clearly there wasn't that many people who spoke Spanish when we first moved here. So, just being able to say, I'm going to move to a foreign country, United States, and say, I'm not going to be able to speak the language. I'm not going to be able to communicate, but I want to move forward and I want to bring my family forward. That is a challenge that I think I will never be able to compare in all the challenges that I've had in my life.
And I definitely relate to that. I myself came to the United States when I was 5. I'm Cuban. So I lived in Cuba for about 5 years, and I came to the US when I was 5. My parents came to the United States when they were already in their 40s. And they still don't really know the language. They still predominantly speak Spanish. So I definitely understand that. It's definitely a culture shock, right? Not just with the language, but also just with everything, the food, the way things are done here. Its way is different from anywhere else. And I know for me, I definitely face some challenges, and I've seen it where sometimes you face discrimination, right? Have you seen that, I guess, in the courtroom, or challenges that people that have come before you on the bench have had regarding the language or the culture?
So, it's funny because in the Ninth Circuit, there's many places in Florida that truly have embraced diversity, and it's not as bad. But, when I was in private practice, I will tell you that I traveled all over the state of Florida, and some places were not the same. They didn't have the the resources to even accommodate a foreign language. And, this is all the state of Florida. And just by the fact of you looking different, people sometimes just didn't, because they didn't have the experience of being around different cultures, they don't know how to address it. Like, I will see people, think that if you speak, louder and slower, that someone will all of a sudden understand your language, which is not true.
No.
And with interpreter services, I mean, we have come such a long way throughout the state of Florida, the Ninth Circuit, South Florida, with providing interpreter services. But I would constantly see in my younger days times where things were being misinterpreted that were so important in court. So I don't think that, fortunately for me, I've felt discrimination in the courtroom, especially because we're here in the Ninth Circuit and it's very diverse. But I will say that I am cognizant of the fact that people who do not feel the same will have that uneasy, uncomfortable feeling. And it's important for them to have the resources in the courtroom to make them feel and believe that there's integrity to the system.
Yeah, and I really think that's important as well, especially me on my personal level. My family, my parents divorced when I was young. My mom didn't know any English as well, so she only spoke Spanish. So at that time, it was hard to go to a courtroom, right? And even having an attorney, it was difficult for her to communicate exactly what she wanted and what she needed. So I definitely understand that when a lot of clients come into the courtroom or even just speak to their attorneys when they just don't understand, right? And it's hard.
Even the cultural, you mentioned your parents' divorce, and I'll mention mine. My parents got divorced, and I remember like it was yesterday when the sheriff came to serve my mom with the papers. And it was funny because she just ripped them up, because in Spanish countries, if you don't acquiesce to the divorce, they don't get the divorce. And so she's like, I'm not giving him the divorce. So she ripped the papers. And then later she found out that she was already divorced because he got a default against her. And
oh my God.
I just remember all the slew of emotions of her saying like, what, how can I didn't sign for this? And so I'm like, you don't, and now that I'm a lawyer, like, you didn't have to sign if you didn't answer. so it's just like being able to, like, for us here in the Ninth Circuit, I think across the state, all the subpoenas are now in English, Spanish, and Creole. And
Yes.
that, I don't know if that was the case back in the 80s when my parents got divorced, but ultimately, I think the resources are key. And I'll tell you this, when I'm sitting on the bench and I have Spanish speakers come into the courtroom who don't speak English, they just feel at ease because they feel that, I know, so they're not going to fall through the crack. I can understand what they're going through, and I can let them know that we're going to get an interpreter for them. And it makes them have this at ease feeling because they're already nervous as it is coming to the courtroom. The added layer of not speaking the language is more intense.
Right. Yes. And on that note, do you think that it's important to have diversity on the bench? I mean, I think it is. I think it's important to have more Hispanic judges. They're able to communicate and have that culture, right, with clients and people coming in to the courtroom. Do you believe that as well?
Definitely. It's like, it's always whenever you walk into a room, whether it be a courtroom, an event room, as humans, our instinct is to scan the room and to see, what is it made of? And when a person walks into a courtroom or any place in life, they're going to immediately say, do I fit in here? Am I welcome here? Are there people like me? And that's just instinctively everywhere. So I think that, to offer the integrity that the justice system is for everybody, we have to have everybody on the bench.
Right. And I know you mentioned at the beginning of this interview that the Hispanic Bar has been a home to you, right? That you feel welcomed. And I feel the same way. The Hispanic Bar, I've only been practicing for about 3 years, so I'm still young. And they've always welcomed me with open arms. I've always felt comfortable and happy going to the events. And I think one of the reasons why as well is because you meet a lot of mentors, right? Either judges or attorneys that have been practicing way longer than I have. Do you think that that's important apart from obviously going to school, having good grades and being coordinated in everything that you do? And do you think that having a mentor in the legal field is important as well?
Yes. It's so funny. Like, why reinvent the wheel? And it's almost like, I think about like in bowling when they have the baby guardrails, like, so you won't get a strike. Yeah. So having a mentor is kind of like that, those little, bowling walls that they're there to help you go the right way and not, get a gutter ball for no reason, because we've been through that process before. And the cultural aspect, there's not enough, I can't say enough about the cultural aspect. I've been to, let's for example, meetings or events, and you already know, like the Spanish goodbye. We're saying goodbye. Like I had to make 3 rounds of my goodbye. Like, are you still here? I've been saying goodbye forever. It's that embracing that culture. And I've gone to events where the meeting's over and people leave and like, they just disperse. It's like magic. It's a different culture, and that's fine.
Right.
People like that. But some people need to grow in their own environment. And so that's why I think it's very important for me. I mentor different segments. One, I grew up in a very low income area, Pine Hills here in Orange County. And I believe it's important to mentor people like me that their parents may work 7 days a week, 10-hour days, they're never home. And unless they have somebody who's been in that place with them and has grown out of that place and has been able to achieve things despite the fact of not having such a strong support system. I had a strong support system, but not someone who could guide me, because they didn't know. All they knew how to do was work, cook, clean, those kind of things, to provide. But I want to be that person to say, hey, listen, these are the opportunities that are out there. This is what you should be doing, in 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, to secure those opportunities. And this is what the plan is for later. And if you've messed up, it's okay. You can still make that time up. You can still do different things. So I do spend a lot of time giving back to my community and communities similar to that. And then I also love to give back to, my Hispanic community. I love the fact, just like I was the first judge that you met, I'm also a judge that people come to, Hispanic attorneys, when they want to get sworn in. And that to me feels amazing that I get to, swear in the future of the Hispanic community in our legal community here in the Ninth Circuit. It's such an honor to me. I get to meet, not only because when I swear the families in, 99.999% of the time, I'm swearing in the new Spanish attorney. The mom's there, the dad's there, the grandfather's there, like they're all there. And that's just something that is typical in the Spanish community. So I get to meet the entire family. We're hugging. It's just beautiful.
I definitely relate. When I got sworn in, I had everybody. I mean,
Yes.
Everybody there. Then I had everybody at Legal Aid, where I work as well, come and see me get sworn in. And I mean, it was beautiful. It was amazing. And I definitely would not change that for the world. And on that note, I know you said that you mentor a lot of people, and you love doing it and being a support system for not just attorneys, but for the community as well. Do you have someone that you look up to? Someone, I mean, I'm sure that you have a lot of people, but the one person that has really guided you to where you are today?
Oh, it's funny because I could name a lot of famous people, but at the end of the day, the person who I always come back to is my dad, because he, since I was young, he called, my mom too. My mom was always the prayer. Like whatever I wanted, I would call my mom, mommy, pray for me, pray for me, pray for me, but my dad was the motivational speaker. So he would make me believe that I could do anything. And he would say, he's willing to work as hard as it takes to get me where I need to be. And I constantly think of him whenever I have any type of trial or tribulation or struggle or self-doubt. And I said, if my dad can come to this country with nothing and build what he has built in his lifetime, then I can do this little thing. And like I said, there's many, Supreme Court judges that I admire. There's many, people in the community that I admire, but my father at the end of the day, with nothing, made so much. And I would just hope that I could have that impact on my kids and the people that are around me.
Oh, that's amazing. And I feel a lot of people in the Hispanic community have that, right? They have the parents that came over from any other country, and they came with nothing, and they started a career and they put their kids through school. So that's amazing. And I know a lot of these kids are very fortunate and just very thankful for what their families went through to be able to get them here. So thank you, Judge Laurent. This was amazing. I'm so glad that a lot of people are able to get to know you a little bit better. You really are a pillar of the Hispanic community, and not just Hispanics, but Hispanic women. Thank you so much for being such an idol to me. I don't know if you knew how much I appreciate everything that you do, and who you are. So I really appreciate you being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. You've done such an amazing job. Anyone who's in leadership now, especially of small voluntary bars during the pandemic, kudos to you, because you've had to reinvent the universe of, what it is to still stay together when we have to stay apart, and to still provide all the things that these voluntary bars are known for, which is guiding, young lawyers, old lawyers, putting them together, making sure that people are not reinventing the wheel, and that we are providing community services to Hispanics and minorities and those who need to feel more comfortable and understand our justice system. So thank you for all that you do for our bar association. And also, Braulio, like I said, I am such a big fan. I have, as you know, we only have 4 Hispanic judges here of what is, 64 judges, but now we're going to have 3 more judges added. And, the Broward Bar Association and South Florida, I'm so in love with the amount of diversity that they have in their courthouse. And a lot of it is because of champions like Braulio, who make sure that, people understand the process of applying for judge and what it takes. And, the Hispanic Bar Association is also a huge resource for people here in our Ninth Circuit who want to become judge. I know that when I was going through the process, the Hispanic Bar Association had started the path to the bench, and I made sure that I went to every seminar so that when it was my turn, I would be well educated on how to become a judge. And so thank you for all you do. Thank you, Braulio, for everything that you do. I really appreciate being here and sharing this time with everyone.
Thank you. And I know that you were on a lot of our path to the bench events. So I think it all just comes full circle, right? You started by looking at all of these seminars, and now you're part of the seminar. So that's amazing. Thank you, Braulio, as well, for everything and for inviting me to do this interview. I feel honored, and I'm very excited to be able to do this with the Broward County Hispanic Bar. So thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.